The Digital Curse. Sarah Mitchell stared at her phone's screen, her heart pounding against her ribs. The strange video that had just appeared showed flashing images of an abandoned house, a well, and distorted faces, all in grainy black and white. As the final frame faded to black, her phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello?" she answered, her voice trembling. 7 days, a distorted voice whispered before the line went dead. Sarah would have dismissed it as a prank if not for what happened next. Her phone began flooding with notifications, old photos she'd deleted years ago suddenly reappearing in her gallery. Each image was corrupted, showing shadowy figures standing in the background that hadn't been there before. At school the next day, Sarah confided in her best friend, Jade Chen. They sat in the cafeteria, heads close together as Sarah showed her the strange images. "It has to be a virus or something," Jade said, but her usual confidence wavered. "These viral marketing campaigns are getting creepy. But look at this." Sarah zoomed in on one of the photos. In the background, barely visible, stood a girl with long black hair covering her face. "She's in every single one." Their research led them to a 20-year-old case, the Morgan family tragedy. The entire family had been found dead in their home, their faces frozen in expressions of terror as they sat before their television sets. The only body never found was that of their 12-year-old daughter, Emily. But there was something else, something the old newspaper articles hadn't mentioned. A string of brutal murders had occurred in the weeks following the Morgan family's death. The killer, dubbed the static slasher by the press, had targeted teenagers, leaving their bodies posed before screens displaying nothing but static. "The killer was never caught," Jade read from her laptop. "The last victim was found clutching a VHS tape, but it was too damaged to recover." As Sarah's deadline approached, strange things began happening around her. Electronics malfunctioned in her presence. Screens would flicker to life in the middle of the night, showing glimpses of a dark figure crawling through static. Then the first new body was found. Jessica Torres, a junior from their school, was discovered in her bedroom, her lifeless eyes fixed on her computer monitor. The screen displayed the same cursed video Sarah had received. On the wall, written in what looked like blood, "The show must go on." Detective Michael Chen, Jade's father, took charge of the investigation. "This doesn't make sense," he told his daughter one night. "The victimology matches the static slasher cases from 20 years ago, but those murders stopped when..." "When what, Dad?" "When Marcus Morgan was institutionalized, Emily Morgan's uncle. He claimed the digital demon made him do it, said his niece's spirit was trapped in the signals demanding sacrifices." Sarah and Jade broke into the abandoned Morgan house, searching for answers. In the basement, they found the old video studio where Emily had spent her final days. Journals scattered across a desk revealed the terrible truth. Emily had been experimenting with cursed media, trying to become internet famous before that was even a thing. She'd created a virus, one that could transform digital content into a supernatural curse, but her uncle Marcus, already mentally unstable, had become obsessed with her experiments. When Emily finally succeeded in creating the curse, Marcus believed she had become a digital goddess. The murders were his twisted offerings to her. As Sarah and Jade pieced together the mystery, they received a text message from an unknown number. "Behind you." Marcus Morgan, now aged and wild-eyed, stood in the doorway. 2 decades in an institution hadn't dulled his devotion to his digital deity. "She needs new blood," he wheezed, brandishing a knife. "The signal's getting weak, but you've seen her video. You're perfect." The girls ran, splitting up in the darkness. Sarah found herself in Emily's old bedroom surrounded by screens that suddenly blazed to life. On every display, Emily's distorted face watched her. In the reflection of the nearest monitor, she saw Marcus approaching, knife raised. At the last second, Sarah understood. Emily hadn't just created a curse. She'd created a prison for herself, one that required death to sustain it. And her uncle was its willing jailer. Sarah grabbed the nearest laptop and began typing frantically, using her coding knowledge to modify Emily's original virus. Behind her, Marcus lunged. The blade stopped inches from her throat as every screen in the room exploded with light. Emily's voice, no longer distorted, screamed through the speakers. "Uncle Marcus, stop!" The ghost of Emily Morgan materialized between them, no longer the vengeful spirit of the cursed video, but the scared 12-year-old girl she'd been all along. "No more death," she pleaded. "No more sacrifices." Marcus dropped the knife, tears streaming down his face. "But, you needed them. The offerings." "I needed help," Emily's spirit said softly. "I've always just needed help." Sarah's modified code worked like a digital exorcism, unraveling the curse that had trapped Emily's soul in the digital realm. As police sirens wailed in the distance, Emily's spirit began to fade. "Thank you," she whispered to Sarah, "for setting me free." Marcus offered no resistance when Detective Chen arrested him. The curse was broken. The killing spree finally ended. But in the digital age, pieces of code never truly die. Later that night, as Sarah lay in bed scrolling through her phone, a notification popped up. "Emily Morgan has sent you a friend request." Her finger hovered over the screen. Some stories, like some codes, are destined to repeat themselves. The end.